Welcome into the Inside Scoop. We are live from Nashville, Tennessee. Today is Wednesday, February 12th, and we have a big show today. I'm excited to talk recruiting with you guys. We have LSU Tiger intel, new update on the number one quarterback, Jared Curtis, with the great Steve Wiltfong, and we are talking Alabama's instant impact recruits. Let's talk some LSU recruiting, and in this update, we're going to focus on the quarterback position, and one particular quarterback I have in mind is Jonas Williams. Yeah, he's committed to the Oregon Ducks, but LSU and USC have been knocking at his door, and it might just open. So we got Shea Dixon from the Bengal Tiger on this video. We're going to get into LSU's recruiting board at the quarterback position. But before we do that, Tiger fans, do me a favor right now. Jump on board the On3 Recruits channel. This is the best recruiting channel on all of YouTube, and we want you to be a part of it. All right, let's bring in Shea Dixon from the Bengal Tiger. Now, you wrote a great story up on the front page right now about LSU's 5 top targets at the quarterback position. I want to start with Jonas Williams. We've been talking him a lot on this channel. Steve Wiltfong brought the intel that, hey, Jared Curtis is a top target for Oregon, but they already have Jonas Williams committed, and it sounds like USC and LSU are trying to capitalize on that. What's the latest between LSU and Williams?
Yeah, I think what Wiltfong said is spot on about Jared Curtis, who On3 has ranked as the top quarterback in the class right now. Oregon pursuing him while having a quarterback committed, and a very highly ranked one at that. And Jonas Williams was newsworthy. I think it's just as newsworthy now that Jonas Williams is openly talking about taking visits to 2 schools, Southern Cal and LSU. He's visited before, but now it's going to be about getting back there and then setting up official visits, Josh, which happened in May, June, probably. And when I caught up with him at the Nike's The Next One event, Super Bowl weekend in New Orleans, he told me kind of the goal was to have everything figured out before his senior year. That's usually the plan with most quarterbacks. So I would not be surprised if in a group of top 10 quarterbacks nationally right now, where by and large, nearly all of them are committed, that if Jonas Williams isn't a guy who comes back on the board for teams as an open commit or uncommitted prospect, and LSU and USC would be the teams to watch.
Yeah, so I don't know if you would put Jonas Williams right now at the top. Now, we're going to talk about 4 more names, and we're splitting hairs here because they're all top quarterback targets for LSU. But when we look at Jake Fette at Arizona State commitment, it seems to me, just talking to you off the record, it seems to me like he's the priority right now for LSU and Joe Sloan.
I'm looking at the names as we talk about them, and I wrote this article on the Bengal Tiger about 5 names to really watch, and he's one of them, certainly. I don't know the order per se, because I think you also then balance in, Josh, how likely is a guy to flip? Most of these guys, all but one, are committed to a school right now, and then kind of how do they order out things from there? Now, I feel comfortable saying there's 5 guys they're really after. Fette firmly, I would say, is in the top group of that mix. Had a big year, is one of those guys who's mobile, can throw it, but as Charles Powers said, very creative with his arm talent. That makes him really dynamic at quarterback. We have him as a top 5 quarterback on On3 right now. Right. So huge get for ASU early on. Does it stick? We'll see. Look, he's been committed since September, so this wasn't him committing after they made the playoffs or anything like that. But at the same time, keeping his options open, including an offer from LSU, and listening to Joe Sloan, I think is something that points to me, hey, look, this could be a kid who ends up visiting this spring, potentially even on an official.
Has he been to LSU yet?
He's not, so that would be a first visit. And he's pretty mum on where things are, but between him reporting the offer and talking to sources on my end, I do know that he's at least listening. And look, Josh, this is all sort of new. Now, look, Joe Sloan never stopped recruiting any of these guys. Jonas Williams said he's talked to him pretty much every week since 9th grade. Jonas Williams is about to be a senior in the fall. But when Bryce Underwood flipped from LSU to Michigan in the 11th hour with the historic NIL deal and all that, suddenly 2026 quarterbacks, like top guys, became much more of a realistic option. I don't know how many top guys were going to follow Underwood. LSU just didn't take a quarterback out of the high school crop. Yeah. They took Michael Van Buren in the portal from State after he had his freshman year and played a ton. So he's the backup to Nussmeier. But from talking to a guy like Jonas Williams, he said, hey, look, that caught my attention in a big way because not only did they not get their top quarterback, they didn't take anybody. So this 2026 cycle is one you can't skip. And I think they're going to end up with one of these top 10 guys.
All right, let's talk about another pair of committed quarterbacks. We got Keyshawn Henderson and Dia Bell. Keyshawn Henderson's committed to Houston, Dia Bell, Texas. Obviously, Keyshawn Henderson would be the more attainable out of the two, right?
I don't know. Houston's NIL. I mean, when you've got Fertitta and Mattress Mac and everybody else back in the program, we've seen what they've been able to do on the basketball front. I'm not saying that Willie Fritz is, I'm not putting that expectation on him, but they're going to be able to recruit some high-end talent. And Josh, look right now what Maryland's doing. They've got five-star Zion Ely committed as the in-state guy. Emmanuel Iheanacho, another guy who's a five-star offensive tackle in-state, is very seriously looking at Maryland. I talked to all three of those guys, including Keyshawn Henderson, who's committed to Houston, and all of them talk about this hometown hero. For Houston, the slogan is key to the city. But look, when you talk to other recruits too, Henderson's recruiting guys to Houston. Now, 12 months can change a lot, but I know we're in the NIL world. Houston isn't struggling on that front. So you're going to have to beat out Houston with more than just NIL money for a guy like Keyshawn Henderson, who's blown up in a very big way and landed an LSU offer and firmly put himself in that top group of guys that they're going after.
All right. Well, tell me about Bo Bentley. He's out of Salina, Texas, 6'3", 200 pounds, a top 20 overall quarterback. Where does LSU stand with him? And he is uncommitted.
This is the one I'm really paying attention to beyond that initial group of committed guys that we've talked about for a while. One, he's their most recent offer. He landed it right when that January eval period ended, Josh. And look, it was Ohio State. I'm looking at his thing right now. Oklahoma. All those offers came in the span of about a week, 2 weeks. When coaches hit the road in January, they get back, they go over the board, and Bentley got some big offers. Now, coming out of Texas, I think LSU is one that geographically speaking makes some sense. That, as I said, they didn't take a quarterback after Underwood in last year's class. And he's really a late riser relative to kind of being recruited nationally, because I caught up with Charles Power this morning, our On3 National Director of Rankings and Scouting, and he said, look, Bentley's going to blow up because he just played his first year this past season as a starter, as a junior, and they went to state. So I think that Ohio State, LSU, Oklahoma are probably just the beginning, but he's one that's already locked in a visit. He'll be on campus in March. He'll make an official visit to LSU. So Bo Bentley, definitely a guy coming out of a border state for LSU that I think we'll be talking about until we see a quarterback domino fall in LSU's favor.
All right, Shea, LSU fans want me to ask, who do you think LSU is going to end up with from this group? On3's honored to announce the next stop of the Next Greatest Generation Tour at Bryant High School in Bryant, Arkansas. In partnership with the Army National Guard, we are proud to recognize Bryant High School as a Team of the Year. The Bryant Hornets have established themselves as one of the most dominant high school football programs in the country. They have now captured their 6th state championship in 7 years, adding to an already historic run with state titles in 18, 19, 2020, 2021, and 2022, and now completing their 2024 mission with a state championship and an undefeated season. Bryant has proven time and time again what it takes to build and sustain greatness. So the evening will feature an activation area with giveaways hosted by the Arkansas Army National Guard, open from 5 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. The official team recognition will take place at about 6:45 p.m. prior to the start of the boys' varsity basketball game. This marks the 4th stop of the NGG Tour. Past stops this month have included Asheville High School, Appalachia High School, and Cherokee High School. Please join us in congratulating Bryant High School on this incredible achievement. We look forward to celebrating the Hornets this Friday as part of the Next Greatest Generation Tour.
I think at this point, if you end up with one of Jonas Williams or Jake Fette or Bo Bentley, you feel pretty good about things, right? And as you said, Dia Bell, they're on him hard, but can you flip him from Texas? Keyshawn Henderson, the same, but a lot of teams are going to try to flip him from Houston.
That's true.
I think they've got a really long relationship, at least dating back a while, with Fette and with Jonas Williams. We've seen Jonas Williams talk it up. and then at the same time now getting into the mix at the same time as kind of the other top teams did with Bo Bentley, puts him into that group. So I think it's going to be one of those three would be my guess. What here, 11 months out from signing day or 8 months out from the early signing period, that would be the three I'd really hone in on.
All right, LSU fans, you tell us, who do you think the Tigers are going to land at the quarterback position? Put it in the comment section below. Let's talk a little recruiting. And I got my guy Steve Wiltfong here. He wrote a phenomenal article right now on the front page of on3.com where he's projecting where some of the top 5 stars in the 2026 class will land. One of the most electric predictions has to do with number 1 QB Jared Curtis. So that's what we're here to talk about. Steve, lay it out for us. Jared Curtis recently narrowed his list of options down to a top 6, possibly a final 6. So who are the teams in the running?
Well, from that 6, the 3 schools that I think he's the highest on are Oregon, Georgia, and South Carolina. He also has Alabama, Auburn, and Ohio State warm. Bill Belichick went in his house. He has a visit to North Carolina on the itinerary for March. Same with Georgia. But going into the spring, I like where the Oregon Ducks stand. Since he decommitted from Georgia, he tells me that his relationship with Dan Lanning, Will Stein, and Oregon has gotten better and better. He's been out to Eugene twice. He recently told me, I like Oregon a lot. I think he likes Oregon the most.
Wow.
So I am predicting him to land with Oregon. They already have the nation's number 1 ranked recruiting class per the On3 industry. And I think as it stands right now, they are setting the tone for Jared Curtis. And Curtis has been to his top schools numerous times. He has official visits set for June to Oregon, Georgia, and South Carolina. But with all the head coaches that came and visited him this past month and all the conversations he's having with his family and representation, I wouldn't be surprised if he came off the board sooner rather than later and started helping build a class.
Yeah, that's what I've kind of figured with the number 1 quarterback in the country. It's only a matter of time till he plants his flag. And the earlier he plants his flag with that program, the earlier he can get some of these top recruits to gather around with him. So it wouldn't surprise me if he did come off the board. Now, he's I want to say a recent decommit, but he decommitted from Georgia about 4 or 5 months ago. Bulldogs, though, you have them in the top group despite that decommitment?
Yeah, absolutely. He loves offensive coordinator Mike Bobo, assistant quarterbacks coach Montgomery Van Gorder, Georgia, the program, the consistency, always competing for championships, proximity to home, the standard. There's a lot of things that he likes about Georgia, but I think Oregon is just the program that has his attention right now with the season that they had, the way they're building it up, his connection with Will Stein, Dan Lanning, and that coaching staff. They have the momentum right now in this recruitment, and they've really had it since the fall. When he decommitted from Georgia, he told me Oregon led. He came on here and told you that Oregon led. I still think that there's maybe been some back and forth with Georgia since that moment, but I think Oregon is the program, again, that has the edge right now. That is who I think leads at this point in his process as he continues to have conversations with his family and representation about where it's best for him to play his college football.
All right, well, if that is to happen, then we're about to see a potential shakeup of the QB dominoes because Oregon already has an elite quarterback, Jonas Williams, committed to them. What happens with Jonas Williams, who is already receiving some attention from some major programs?
Well, I think Oregon would love to sign 2 quarterbacks this cycle. We talked about that a little bit on Wiltfong Whip Around, which you can also watch on the On3 Recruits channel. So hit like and subscribe. Ting. But look, Oregon would like to sign 2 quarterbacks this cycle. They wanted to sign 2 last cycle, and they did, but they only have 1 on the team still, as Jaron Key Sagapolatelli is already in the portal and at Cal. So they'd like to get 2 high school quarterbacks this cycle. I don't think it's going to be Jared Curtis and Jonas Williams. I like the way it's going for Jared Curtis. I think Jonas Williams is likely going to end up elsewhere. USC maybe has a slight edge over LSU because he's fresh off a great visit to USC.
Right.
Lincoln Riley was just at his school. He's leading that recruitment. He feels like the guy for USC in 2026 because Ryder Lyons is the guy for USC and everybody else in 2027, including Oregon. I think LSU is the other major contender. They were the runner-up for Jonas Williams the first time when he picked Oregon. Joe Sloan, offensive coordinator, recently was up in the Chicagoland to visit with Jonas Williams. There's talk about getting him down in March. Wouldn't be surprised if he went back out to USC one more time and then went to LSU in March and then an official visit. But I wouldn't be surprised if he just flipped too. I mean, like, these things happen quickly, especially with quarterbacks, because people are putting it all on the table. I know USC would certainly love to get him in the fold. LSU trying to get him back to campus. Those are the two. Ole Miss recently offered Jonas Williams. They'd have to come from behind. Landon Duckworth seems like the emerging guy for Lane Kiffin and company right now in that class. So, but Jared Curtis, trend in Oregon, in my opinion, right now. Georgia battling. Jonas Williams, maybe a slight trend to USC, LSU battling, current Oregon commit. Ryder Lyons, number 10 player overall in 2026. He's going to take an LDS mission, so that makes him a 2027 quarterback. That's a USC-Oregon battle right now with Michigan and some other programs. BYU is in there. Michigan, BYU, maybe a little Arizona. So you have those programs in there for Ryder Lyons. You got Ole Miss with Landon Duckworth. I think we've kind of touched on a lot of things here.
The Jared Curtis, if and when he comes off the board, it's going to create a stir with the QB domino. So Oregon fans, talk to us. How you feeling right now about the latest intel from Steve Wiltfong on number 1 quarterback Jared Curtis? Let us know how you're feeling. Comment section below. Let's talk a little Alabama recruiting, because in Kalen DeBoer's first full recruiting cycle at Alabama, the Tide finished 3rd. They signed 3 5-stars in this class, and in this video, I got On3 national analyst Cody Bellaire. We're going to dig a little bit into this signing class. We're going to find out where the real value is and who is going to make an instant impact. So Alabama fans, do me a favor right now. Hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We're trying to get this thing to 100K. I think we can do it with the help of some Bama fans. All right, let's bring in Cody Bellaire. And Cody, we're going to start on the offensive side of the ball of this signing day class. And when we talked impact freshmen, everybody has Ryan Williams fresh on the brain, but he's not the only one to make a major impact at Alabama, and he's not going to be the last, because this number 3 ranked signing class is absolutely loaded. Who do you like on offense?
Yeah, Josh, on the offensive side of the ball, I think Keelan Russell makes a ton of sense here, because he'll be competing for the starting job the day he walks on campus. However, it's no guarantee that he wins it. But someone I think that does have a greater chance of making an impact early on that side of the ball is On3 4-star tight end Caleb Edwards. Alabama's losing 2 tight ends to the NFL draft this year in Robbie Oots and CJ Dupree, who combined for nearly 30 catches and 350 yards last season. And while Josh Cuevas is more than likely penciled in as the starter, I think the tight end 2 job is fair game. And for a guy like Caleb Edwards, who's going to absolutely look the part the moment he steps on campus, he stands in at 6'6", 255 pounds, Josh. And yes, I know they brought in Weber State transfer Peter Knudsen. Yes, they have Danny Lewis, who played some snaps last year. But Caleb Edwards has the build, the movement skills, the ball skills to jump in and not only just compete, but I think he's got a shot to outright win that second tight end spot as a freshman.
All right. How about on the defensive side of the ball? Because they signed a really good haul on that side as well.
Yeah, Josh, I'll be honest with you. I cheated on this one. I couldn't pick just one guy. So I went ahead and took 3 freshman defensive backs that I think could potentially play early in Dijon Lee, Chuck McDonald, and Ivan Taylor. They all have a shot at being key rotational pieces in this Alabama secondary next season. And I think the thing that's important, Josh, in understanding what these guys bring to the table is laying out these 3 options and understanding what they could do early on in their careers. Dijon Lee is phenomenal frame and build at 6'3 plus, 190 pounds, very physical with strong ball skills. Chuck McDonald has the speed. He ran a personal best 10.8 400-meter time on the track, as well as being extremely polished in man coverage. And Ivan Taylor may be the most well-rounded of the bunch in terms of physicality and athletic ability, but he also has the versatility to be able to play around the line of scrimmage or as a back half defender. And Josh, I don't think it's a surprise to hear that Alabama is actually bringing back a good amount of talent from last year's defense. But I do think that 1 or 2 of these freshman DBs could see some significant playing time as rotational pieces next year.
What about when we talk about the number 3 rated class in America? Not everybody's going to have an opportunity to play right away. So diving into this signing day class, who do you think long-term is going to have an excellent career at Alabama?
Yeah, this was an easy one for me, Josh. And again, I think I would be remiss not to mention Keelan Russell for this because we are so high on him, and he finished as our number 2 overall player in the country. So I want to make sure we give him his flowers. But I'm officially submitting 5-star offensive lineman Michael Carroll as my choice for this because he's a flat-out ass kicker, Josh. I mean, he's a mean son of a bitch. The way he plays the position makes offensive line coaches drool because he's punching guys off the line of scrimmage. He plays through the whistle, and he's always looking to bury defenders through the dirt. Honestly, there's a chance he could see the field as a freshman at one of these guard spots for this Bama front, but they've done such a good job of reloading along the line of scrimmage. So if it doesn't happen year one, that's okay. But I tell you what, I have a really hard time seeing Michael Carroll not become a 2 or 3 year starter down the line and eventually walking across that stage on draft night.
All right, Bama fans, you got to be excited about this 2025 class. Tell me, who do you think are going to be the instant impact playmakers out of this group? Let us know. Comment section below.